Hello to you all. I'm really excited to be generating and reading the final part of my first book, Runs in the Family, an Amazon bestseller and forwarded by Tito Jackson. Here is the book, Runs in the Family. And before I complete this, I just want to share with you the rationale and the reasons behind it, because by now you'd know that it was the suicide of my brother that had me start working with children and young people around their mental health. And the charity I founded is in memory of Julian. And I started by looking at what would really have made a difference to him and his life, such that with this intervention that we would provide would give him access to the best possible life, him still being alive. And I looked at a mentoring service, and we started looking at drama workshops and dance workshops and all of these things that we could do in schools that could really raise the level of children's emotional intelligence, for them to be able to see where they are mood wise and show them techniques of managing it. And so this is, so we looked at mood mentors. And so our mood mentors, they don't look at mood. They don't look at, they're not like academic mentors, which, for example, might help a young person to achieve between a grade A to C. As I was a teacher and I taught for 20 years, that was what we do as academic mentors. We look simply at mood, where they are, stressed, anxiety, depression, and we show them ways of managing and changing their mood, because this is the beginning of emotional intelligence. And when we started doing this and other activities, I started seeing patterns that between the parents and the children, and quite often the children were learning styles and techniques of managing their mental health from their parents. So I started looking 10 years before then, what could we put in place as parents to make sure that this doesn't happen, and that the child would already be able to manage their mental health and well-being and have those levels of emotional intelligence, so they wouldn't need our service 10 years later, and therefore they would further strengthening the platform from childhood or from teenage years to adult years. So that's what my book, Runs in the Family, was all about. It was for a young parent. When I say young parent, a parent with a young child, for them to look at ways of managing their own mental health and well-being, as well as supporting the child. So that was the rationale for writing this first book. And looking at the book, we've already gone from the first 7 chapters, and really exploring the rationale in the first 2 chapters. But chapter 3, we look at why it's important for us to be in tune with our feelings. We're in a society that's kind of like really results orientated, and a lot of the time we don't look at our feelings, we don't look at where we are, and and the reason why it's there, and we don't show that or share that with our young people. Quite often things will happen, things might happen that are not good, and we try and hide it from the child, which is not necessarily a good thing, because if something happens and you're upset, it's good to model how you're dealing with that for your child, because then your child will be able to model that for themselves, and it gives them the strength as well. So chapter 3, why emotions or feelings important for you, and why are they important for the young person around you? And chapter 4 looks at how to foster peace and harmony in any household. And then chapter 5, the importance of self-care, because we see that parents or carers, quite often, they do tend to forget about themselves and don't give themselves any time. And then we start in chapter 6, taking on key actions. What kind of activities can we put in place around care, around nutrition, why it's so important, and why it's so important to model that to young people around us. And then chapter 7, being your word. Why is it so important to do what you say you're going to do? And if it looks like you can't do it, for you to be able to communicate all of that. Why is all of that so important? So those are the chapters we've done so far in Runs Within Family to chapter 7. And today I want to finish out this book. And then starting with chapter 8 and going on. And if there's any comments you've got, then please do write them down in the comments section below, because at this moment in time, I'm looking at this book I wrote for young parents or younger parents before the pandemic, and so much has happened during and since the pandemic, that we are updating the book. So any feedback that you have would really be gratefully received. So, chapter 8, onward and upwards. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve this world. A quote from Marianne Williamson. So, putting it all together, in this chapter, we look at all the things that could get in the way of achieving our goals and what we will do that will enable us to achieve our goals. We will look at how to strengthen ourselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Emotional motivation. It can be relatively easy to engage in new behavior when all is well. But when the going gets tough or we have a bad day, it's easy to revert to default behaviors, the old ones we got used to find ourselves back to square one. And the good thing about these rough times is that there's a breakthrough round the corner, and we just need to get back onto that horse and keep going. Having a goal or aim that really inspires you. What is your motivation for all of this? Why did you decide that this journey would be a good idea for you? Is it that you want to be a better role model for your children, that you felt that your parents were for you? Or perhaps is that you know that there's mental illness in your family and you wish to prepare your family with the tools they need to overcome it. Maybe you want to leave a legacy for your family or the following generations. You need to think of why you're doing this. Write it down and put it somewhere that you can easily see to remind you of why you're doing this. Believe me, you'll have bad days, and that's normal. It's important in these times to think of why you're doing this and the subsequent impact on your life and the lives of your children. Finally, does your purpose inspire you? The most important thing is that you inspire yourself. Having friends that really inspire you. What about the network of friends you have around you? Do they inspire you? Can you relate to them? Or is it a one-sided conversation with them that relies on you to keep it going? This is something to take a look at with each friend and relationship. Check out the mood map to see how they make you feel after you've been with them, after you've spoken with them. What we really want are friends that leave us in a positive mood, as these are the friends that will support us in the difficult times. Be careful of being around friends that leave you in a negative mood, or even worse, in the negative mood with negative energy, which is kind of towards depression. That's not cool. And it's not the feeling or mood you want to take to your family. I would suggest decreasing the amount of contact with friends that give you a negative feeling and energy. You're not a dustbin. And these emotions will stop you from growing emotionally. I'm not saying that you tell them, sorry, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. I don't want to have a friendship with you because you bring me down. No, no, no. We need to be wise and prudent at all times. You'll find yourself busy with other things and make your apologies. And in time, they'll find somebody else to focus on. Are you addicted to having these kind of relationships? Do you feel that supporting someone who drains your energy gives you more self-worth? Well, you need to stop doing this, as it's not helping you and it's not helping them. They need to develop their own skills and grow emotionally rather than dumping on you. And you have set your own goal to be a model for your children. It doesn't work for your children to see or be around this type of behavior. Having a partner that really inspires you. We haven't spoken much about your partner in this book, as it's really essential for you and your child. The two of you are modeling relationships for your child. So ask yourself, does your partner inspire you? What is it that is inspiring about them? Is there anything that's missing from them in your opinion? Is it really them, or is it something about yourself? For example, if you think to yourself, oh, they're not strict enough, is it really that you're too strict? Have you spoken with each other so you have the same discipline, strategy, and beliefs? Are there any grey areas? If so, please get all of these ironed out. Communication is the key here to loving and close relationships. Or when you speak with them about something that's missing, try not to blame them. After all, when you do that to anyone, they'll be backed into a corner and they'll come out fighting, blaming you too. You look at yourself in that area too and talk about how this situation is occurring for you. All too often, we speak about something like it's the truth, when really it's just looking that way to us in that moment. If you find the two of you are seeing the same situation from two different perspectives, then this is worth discussing to help each other and see each other's point of view. Physical motivation. Earlier in this book, we looked at the importance of mild activity and healthy eating habits on our well-being and mood. Why should we continue this behavior and how? Think back to the objective or goal you established that gave you the emotional motivation. What was it? If you decided you wanted to role model important behavior to enable your child to manage their moods and well-being forever, then an important part of this is managing physical health. For our systems to work well, we and our children need a maximum of 40 minutes to an hour of moderate physical activity every day. I know a family that transformed things for their child by buying him a massive trampoline, and every day after school, he'd spend at least 30 to 40 minutes jumping on it. He found that helped him eliminate the day's stresses, so he was able to be with his family and do his homework. What systems can you put in place that work for the whole of the family? Having playtime after school for the whole family has a great advantage for all to minimize the day's stresses. However, you must choose something that you like and enjoy. Is it walking, cycling, running, dancing, roller skating, ice skating, walking a pet? Find what you all enjoy and develop a routine. This togetherness could also be incorporated into as you develop your meal times, allowing your family to choose meals together and prepare them together. This may be difficult at first, but keep at it and increase the number of times that you eat meals together. Young people love speaking about themselves and quite often just don't have the opportunity to talk. In the UK, parents are encouraged to work all hours to provide for their families and sometimes don't have the energy all the time to listen to their children. When I was a teacher, I spoke with many young people who couldn't or wouldn't speak with their parents because they didn't want to burden them or worry them. This is common. Young people don't often want to confide in their parents if they think their parents will find that they have to say something upsetting. So they tend to keep things inside. We need to overcome this and let young people speak to help themselves find the answers to their difficulties and overcome their problems. Spiritual motivation. What do I mean by spiritual motivation? I have spoken about the physical and emotional things you can do to transform your living situation and your life should decrease the possibility of you and your child becoming stressed, anxious, or depressed. We have spoken about the blame culture, and that is no wonder that you were this way before. It's normal to blame everyone for our problems, including God. However, we now know that when we do this, we can't move on with our lives, as then when we judge that our lives are this way because of something or someone out there and it's nothing to do with us, there is nothing that we can do about that. The moment we start looking from a different perspective and see what we could have done differently, we see that suddenly we have new opportunities and pathways that we can take to achieve things that we've only dreamed of in the past. We can stop making our lives into a soap opera where we are the superhero and everyone else is the villain, and start looking at what we contribute to each of these situations. It's also the same in our spiritual lives. We pray to God for something and we wonder why we don't get it when we go around blaming everyone and him for our lives. If you suffered a tragedy such as a death, for example, blaming God may be your way of coping and surviving from day to day. However, this doesn't bring us happiness or joy. Anger simply gets in the way of us dealing with our real feelings, those feelings that, when overcome, bring us to new actions and purpose in our lives. I realized that I had actually turned my back on God way before I started experiencing challenging moments in my life. However, I thought that it was He who turned his back on me. And when I saw the truth, I felt a rush of relief traveling through my body, a new hope for the future instead of feelings of bitterness, hopelessness, and regret. And when we're in difficult situations and we don't know how we're going to get through them, we turn to things or people for support because that's what we've got used to do. That's what we're used to doing to get results. But sometimes alcohol or excessive shopping, just to give a couple of examples, can't get us through those most difficult times. And for those times, we need something more, something that's bigger and powerful than ourselves, but bigger than the everyday people and things that support and guide us. And asking God for his support, guidance, strength, and power will help accelerate all of the things that you said you wanted family life to be like, and more, facilitating the depths and love in your relationships and the closeness of your family. How do you do this? There's two things that you can do today that will make a marked difference. First, use 5 minutes of your 15-minute personal time, explained in the last chapter, to pray for all the things you want to achieve, your dreams for your family and yourself. Start with 1 or 2 minutes, thanking God, first of all, for the things that you have and things that are going well in your life. This can be your health or the health of your family, how your children are improving in school. Just notice every little thing you can. Speak out loud as if you're speaking with your best friend. And after you've thanked him for all of those things you have and those people that are around you, pray for what you need from him, for it to be an intelligent prayer, a prayer that God will listen to. You need to explain. You need to explain all of these things that you need in detail. And so rather than saying, for example, Lord, I want to have lots of money, try, Lord, I really do need more money because I'd like to go to those book writing classes to develop my creativity. And then when my children see I'm studying, it will really encourage them in their subjects at school too. Or I would like to have more money so Johnny can go to those guitar classes and Jessica can go to her dancing lessons, because going to those lessons really help develop themselves emotionally as well as increasing their development skills. And I really want them to grow up to be balanced young adults. Specific prayers and reflections like this will go a long way. Asking for strength will get you through those difficult days and times when you feel you're at your lowest. Be patient. Rome wasn't built in one day. You're building your home and you're building it with patience, love, and commitment. And building it this way will enable you to build something that won't suddenly fall down. The second thing you do is open your Bible or Torah or Quran, and then start reading it from the beginning to the end, and choose 2 verses and read it. And when you're going through difficult times, find a verse in the Bible that will lift you spiritually, giving you strength and hope to continue the day, to change your mood and to give you or restore your hope. This needn't take long. Whatever verse you think you need to read and reflect on, read that one, as that will be the Lord directing you, and think about that verse throughout the day, about what it means and how you can apply it to your life. One parent, Sarah, told me she was having a difficult time with their son, Mark, age 4, who was really demanding of her time. She wasn't sleeping well, which was having a negative impact on her mood. She felt herself getting increasingly angry with every word and behavior grating on her every nerve. And then one day, Sarah lost it and started criticizing and shouting at her son. And then afterwards, she regretted what she had done. And in her quiet moments of reflection and prayer, when she was reading her Bible, she saw that in Ephesians chapter 4, her eyes drew to chapter 24, which said, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath." She immediately knew that it was guidance for her in her situation with her son. And she read it, she took in the message and reflected for a few moments on what she needed to do. Not to let the sun go down with her in this stage of anger, and to apologize to her son, explain that she didn't have much sleep. And even though he was difficult sometimes, that she would never do that again. And Sarah asked Mark, "Why do you behave like this? It makes me so mad and helpless, and I don't know what to do to help you." To which Mark replied, "Mummy, I like it when you do things with me. And when I do good things, you don't know that I'm here." And from that moment, Sarah started talking with Mark in a way that they'd never spoken before. That day onwards, their relationship changed. Sarah vowed that she'd never shout and critique Mark again. And since that day, yes, there have been times when she feels angry, but to this day, but when she read that day, "Do not sin," conveyed an important message to her to model good behavior to her son. In this chapter, we have looked at ways that we can maintain our new way of life and gain strength in times of weakness. When we are wondering, "Oh, why did I start doing all of this in the first place?" In times like these, look at the beginning of the book where you wrote down how your life was and how you imagine your life to be. Compare your life now to how it was at the beginning and be thankful for all of the changes you've made. In doing this, you will really see the process that you have made, which will in turn give you the room and space for further change. Also, acknowledge yourself for being the change that you are creating and for the great job that you're doing. Chapter 9, Obstacles. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. A quote by Marianne Williamson. Back to square one. So now you've changed your life, and over the last few weeks, and really made a difference to your life and the life of your family. You've been making yourself accountable for your own moods and emotions, and been a model for your children to increase their emotional intelligence. You found parts of yourself, hidden jewels that were covered by fear, and by taking those first steps, you've seen parts of yourself you love, your determination, your openness, and the resilience to make a big difference in your life and the life of your family. It's at times like this when things appear to be going well, and sometimes we can make mistakes. We think, when I'm speaking more with my son, I'll be happy. Or when I stop taking those tablets for depression, I'll be happy. Or when I start writing in my diary again, I'll be happy. And do not put your thoughts and dreams in the hands of someone else or something else, as you'll be disappointed every time. You've started to take responsibility for every thought and emotion you have, and you've become able to shift your feelings depending on whether you feel more positive emotionally or whether you want to have more energy. Your emotions and moods are yours. You may not be able to control your circumstances, but you can control your thoughts. We all have days off, or we all have off days, rather, where there will be days where you think everything is either all your fault or everyone else's fault. And this is absolutely normal. But you're reading this book because being normal doesn't work for you and you want to be exceptional. Being exceptional and wanting an exceptional child means being an exceptional parent, and that means doing things that you didn't do before in the world of being normal. Now, Being exceptional is a whole different ball game. If you stopped doing any of the new things that really, if you have stopped doing any of the new things that have really made a difference in your life, it doesn't mean that it's all over. Challenges are sent to test us, not to undo all of the hard work that we've taken on. Feeling guilty just stops you from really seeing the truth of what's happening. So forgive yourself and acknowledge yourself for doing such a great job. Keep on going because you'll continue to reap the rewards with your new peaceful life. It may not all be now, but it will very soon and lasting. You'll be surprised. In my career as a teacher, I didn't realize that many years later, students would still be thanking me for how I contributed to their lives and to their future, telling me how they've been inspired by me. Believe me, I wasn't thinking of this when I was in a new school, struggling to manage my new classes. Sometimes I'd say to myself, if you had let that student get away with that behavior, then you would have had an easier life. However, I never let anything slip past me, and I'm happy I was like that. As now I see these young people being successful in their lives, I feel a pride when they speak with me and thank me. Did I know this would all happen 5 years ago, 10, 20, 30? No. However, it's one of the hidden benefits of sticking to my principles, and I didn't even know what was possible. There are many things that you can do to stop your progress. You could start eating takeaway food for a treat every now and then, which descends into chaos and eating badly. Just get over it and then move on. And don't blame yourself and feel guilty. And don't say, oh, I can't do this. It's too much because you have done it and you've overcome all of those obstacles. If things start going wrong and you start going into blame, remember the main things: forgiveness, consistency, and being honest with your child about your mood and how you're feeling and how you're managing it. You are building nothing less than their emotional intelligence. Your goal through reading my book was to transform your relationship with your child. So you wanted the support of this book to change things quickly. And I want you to imagine that you have managed to solve your difficulties and that with the dream of having this perfect relationship with your child has come true. How would you feel? How long do you think that would take? I told my parents they'd done a good job with me as when I was in my 30s. So you might be waiting a while before you hear these words from your child. But can you give yourself the gift of those? But you can give yourself the gift of those feelings now. Write yourself a letter from your child to yourself, dated 20 years from now. And in this letter, thank yourself for doing a great job and teaching your child so well, for preparing him or her for the world out there, for helping them each day by modeling how you feel and how to change how you feel, for being consistent, for showing them how to enjoy preparing and being a connoisseur of food. What you would like to be thanked and acknowledged for. What difference would you like to have made in the world, in the life of your child? And what tools would they find useful to be successful in their adult life? Whatever it is, it all starts here. It all starts now, sowing these seeds and making the difference, being that mom or dad who was originally just a thought inside your head and introducing them to the world. Chapter 10, Back to the Future. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. A quote from Marianne Williamson. So now you have changed your behavior and put things in place to bring a newfound closeness between you and your child by talking and sharing mood states and what you do to change from one mood state to another. And by now you're speaking with more assuredness, more confidence, and greater knowledge of what works for you and your child. In addition, by changing your eating habits and your mealtime habits, you can further increase family cohesion. What are the things you said you are committed to changing and transforming in your life at the beginning of this book? What is happening now? What changes have taken place? Keep on evaluating yourself, as it's important to acknowledge how far you've become. Keep on visualizing your child, thanking your future self for being such a great parent and giving him or her the tools that they really needed and have used many times to help them make the decisions and be the success they are today. Take out that letter you've written and reread it. It will happen. It's just a matter of time. It could be when they are parents themselves. They will realize just how great you are and use many of your ways and strategies in their own parenting. Well done for starting something, starting with transforming yourself and the way that you deal with situations around you, leaving a legacy that can be passed down to future generations, a legacy that will enable your children to be successful in their current and future personal work and relationships. Congratulations for transforming your life. Acknowledgements. This book came together through supporting many young people and their families and seeing that when their parents and children are supported individually, the children make the greatest progress in managing their moods and well-being. And first of all, I'd like to thank God for where I am today and able to write something that with his guidance will really make a real difference and impact the lives of others and their families. I want to acknowledge my mom and dad, my mom for showing me the importance of education and achieving my goals, and for my dad for showing me and teaching me the skills, the people skills to achieve them. I want to acknowledge my friends Anne-Marie, Delia, my sister Simone for their support, encouragement through writing this book. Thanks to all the volunteers and supporters of the Julian Campbell Foundation who, through their dedication, commitment, have enabled our organisation to make a difference with many young people and their families. Thank you to all the children and young people that I have taught and supported over the many years, as you have contributed to my life, my satisfaction, and I have made a difference and my enjoyment in seeing you achieve your chosen lives and careers. And finally, thank you to the Difference Press for their guidance and support in encouraging and writing this book about the author. Jacqueline Campbell is the founder of Julian Campbell Foundation, a charity that has made a difference to many young people, teenagers, and their families. The strategies used to enable young people to identify and monitor their moods and develop their emotional intelligence. With higher degrees in education and public health, Jacqueline began her career as a science teacher and went on to enjoy 20 years of teaching in some of the most difficult inner city London schools, as well as training teachers. And from her time teaching these difficult schools, Jacqueline saw that there was a need to support young people and their families to manage their well-being. And for this, the Julian Campbell Foundation provides hands-on support to families through the training of mentors, trains teachers to identify young people who are exhibiting mild forms of mental health difficulty. The foundation also conducts drama workshops in schools, which provides a fun, light-hearted way to send an important message and lesson to young children, showing them how to identify and manage their stress, anxiety, and depression in themselves and others. For our website, please go to juliancampbellfoundation.org. And for our email, please go to info@juliancampbellfoundation.org. For Instagram, Julian Campbell Foundation, all lower letters. For Facebook, we have two sites, wellbeing, which is Julian Campbell Foundation, and also my page, which is Julian Campbell Foundation, Wellbeing Youth. Our Twitter handle is Julian Campbell F, and you can find me and the charity on LinkedIn, myself, Jacqueline Campbell, and the charity Julian Campbell Foundation. So thank you. Thank you for reading Runs in the Family. The fact that you've got to this point in the book tells me something really important about you. You're ready to shift out of overwhelm. You're ready to experience clarity and peace of mind in your life. This isn't the end, but rather a beginning of a new life and enjoyable future. If you enjoyed this book, please write a review. I can be reached through my website at juliancampbellfoundation.org or my email, Jackie, JACQUI, at juliancampbellfoundation.org. The income from this book will be donated to supporting young people to overcome mental health difficulties so it can be given back into the community. If you're ready to dive deeper and are interested in finding out more about Julian Campbell Foundation or our activities, we're offering free introductory online videos to all readers of the book. So to have access to these free videos, please visit our online learning centre at juliancampbellfoundation.org. And that's all from me. So thank you for being with me in this journey. It's just really, I feel like I've gone through a memory lane, like reading through the book. Because when I started reading the book, I wasn't sure what was going to come out. And it was like, it was just such a therapeutic process for me. It helped me kind of like consolidate everything that I'd learned through being a charity worker, working in education, really looking at what was wanted and needed in our, in a young family to bring up a child as robust with youth mental health. So any feedback again that you have would just be gladly received and gladly welcomed. So I've already shared all of my contact details with you. So please do feel free to look me up or look us up on any of the social media platforms to be able to give us feedback. Or you can send an email directly to me. That's Jackie, JACQUI, at Julian Campbell Foundation, or info at Julian Campbell Foundation. And then, we can communicate from there. So thank you again for listening to all of the videos and listening to my first book. And I really look forward to seeing you in the next video, because as a result of reading this book, we are now looking to, we've actually set up like classes for parents, online workshops, which is similar information in the book, but it's going to be through a workshop rather than doing it through the book and reading the book. So it'll be a workshop situation. So if you want to find out more information about that, please do contact us. There's a link that I've put on LinkedIn about that. So again, thank you, and we'll see you in our next videos.